a picture on the wall behind you.
Well, you're gonna have to send me one, and it's gonna have to be autographed, you know.
No problem. Okay, I will. I want to see it back there though the next time you're on this thing.
Great.
Madam Chair, we have everybody except for Commissioner Nash, and he's traveling right now.
Yes, he is. All right, it is 3:30, and I would like to call the September 8th Muskegon County Full Board of Commissioners meeting to order. Commissioner Willestein, could I have you give us an invocation, please?
Yes. Dear your word, the county, for the seasons of sunshine and from Muskegon County. We give thanks to you for taking care of us through this pandemic of COVID-19. We ask, dear Lord, for a special blessing for our veterans, employees, and the people of this county. May we never forget that you are in charge. This we ask in your name forever. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. Commissioner Mahoney, would you recite the Pledge of Allegiance for us so everybody does not have to do it? Am I muted?
Probably muted the whole time. There we go.
Okay, there we
Yes.
go. Thank you, Ken. I'm sorry.
What was I doing? Oh, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, with liberty and justice for all. Amen.
Thank you, Ken.
Yep. We're done.
Now we will move on to, would you move the agenda for us, please? But we are going to move on to roll call, Madam Clerk.
Foster,
Here.
Foster,
Here.
Hovey Wright,
Here.
Chairman Hughes,
Here.
Commissioner Laring,
Here.
Commissioner Mahoney,
Here.
Commissioner Nash,
Commissioner Nash is excused for today.
Koenig,
Here.
Commissioner Snyder,
Here.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Here.
8 present, 1 excused.
Thank you very much. And we do have a quorum. Next on the agenda is approval of the agenda. I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Moved.
We have a motion and support. Is there any comments, questions, or concerns on the agenda? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, may I have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Laring, Commissioner Laring to approve the agenda.
Here.
That's yes. Commissioner Mahoney,
Yes.
Commissioner Skoenig,
Yes.
Commissioner Snyder,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins, is her mute button off? Commissioner Wilkins to approve the agenda. Vice Chair Foster,
Yes.
Chairman Hughes.
Yes.
I have 7 yes, 1 excused, and no response from Commissioner Wilkins.
Thank you very much. That motion carries. Next is the approval of the regular session minutes on August 25th.
So moved.
Motion
Support.
and support. Any questions or concerns on those minutes? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, may I have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Laring,
Yes.
Commissioner Mahoney, Mahoney, Commissioner Skolnick,
Yes.
Commissioner Snyder,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins, Wilkins,
She's muted.
I,
There she is.
no,
There, we heard you now.
Vice Chair Foster,
Yes.
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
Yes.
back to Commissioner Mahoney.
Yes.
Thank you. 8 yes, 1 excused.
I did not get to vote, but I vote yes.
Oh, I'm sorry,
That's okay.
Chairman Hughes.
As long as you're not doing it twice.
That's right.
I even put you in with the vote as yes because I had 8 yes and 1 excused. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Next on the agenda is our presentations. And first, we're going to go to Director of Public Health, Kathy Moore.
Thank you. I did share a slight presentation, yes. So to date, as of yesterday, late yesterday, we have recorded a total of 1,328 positive cases, 1,057 recovered, 67 deaths plus 2 additional deaths not COVID related. And we are managing 202 active positive cases as of today. That is very manageable with the public health staff that we have right now. If you notice on this slide, the red is the active cases. And so the number of active cases went down towards the end of, well, towards July 3rd, ticked back up and then started another downturn. It's somewhat stabilizing off with a slight uptick for active cases. Next slide, please. The demographics continue in a similar proportion, male at 42%, female 58%, white cases 54 to 55%, Black 31%, Hispanic, even though we feel pretty confident we're not capturing all of the Hispanic cases, but we have recorded 107 cases or 8.1%, which is still higher than the population demographics. So that's another high category. Next, please. Just the brief heat maps and regional statistics to show where we are in relation to contiguous counties. Also the breakdown by municipal location. I will also share the entire profile report with our county administrator, who will also share it with the municipal leaders. Next slide, please. This is just a breakdown by age group related to the deaths. So the black bars indicates the deaths, COVID-related deaths. 1 in the age group 40 to 49, with the majority of them in the over 80 age group. Next, please. This is an updated report on the prison population, the 2 prisons that's in Muskegon County. Again, these positive numbers are not reflected in our community numbers, so they don't impact our community number at all, except the numbers in the brown. These are staff or employees which are in our community, so we are tracking those. And then we've had 4 cases where relatives or close contacts of the employees have been impacted. That is my last slide, and I just had a couple of other things. The Michigan National Guard testing, 228 individuals were tested. Only 1 of the 228 were positive, and that individual was actually from Illinois. just here visiting in Muskegon County. We had 2 inconclusive and 1 not enough specimen collected. But for the most part, all negative. Mercy Health successful, I'm sorry, Commissioner Hovey, right? I didn't see you.
Oh, I was waiting till the end of your presentation.
Okay. Mercy Health successfully launched their partnership with us with Epi-linked testing. The Epi-linked testing is specifically for cases that we've identified positive and close contacts of those positive or suspected positive cases. This would allow individuals to be sent there, and we would get a report in aggregate that just helps us with the contact tracing and quarantine efforts. The state of Michigan Department of Health and Human Services are still working with a vendor to set up a neighborhood testing site in Muskegon Heights. They have signed an agreement with Christ Temple. This would be a walk-up testing site for individuals that's not epi related. So just anybody that wants to get tested, not necessarily affiliated with a positive case. I continue to meet with the superintendents twice a week. We had a meeting today at noon. They are doing just an amazing job preparing the students and the schools for the opening, which some started last week. That concludes. Thank you.
I just, Kathy,
Yes.
Commissioner Moore, or Chair
Director,
Moore,
yes.
Director Moore. I see the correctional facilities, but what about the jail? Do we have statistics on the jail and COVID cases?
I would have to defer to the sheriff for that. I do not have aggregate numbers for the jail and the COVID cases. I can tell you that I've been working with Sheriff Poland since March, since the beginning of COVID. And every time there is a suspected case or a close contact, that he has actually gone above and beyond our CDC and public health recommendations. So normally, you know, when I talk to him, it's just like, tell me what you've done. Everything's done well. We're all set. But Sheriff,
Okay.
I don't have numbers.
Commissioner
Okay.
Hubbard,
What is our positive rate of percentage rate?
Our positivity rate is just under 3%. It's at 2.88. And yeah, and it's still looking really, really good. I'm Muskegon County, we've done a great job here.
Great, thank you.
Kathy, can you tell me, this is Commissioner Hughes, can you tell me where it is they send the test for testing?
So each provider has their own arrangement with the lab. So the testing that the Michigan National Guard performed, those tests actually went to New Jersey for analysis, lab analysis. We have some tests. The state of Michigan has a lab, but they only want aggregates of 100 or less. Mercy Health sends theirs. They're still working on some in-house analysis, but they send theirs to a company called NextGen, which is in Kent County.
Thank you, Kathy. The reason I ask is I was at a family reunion this weekend, and I had 3 aunts say that they signed up to get the test at a pharmacy in North Muskegon, and they waited and waited and waited, and then finally said, oh, forget it, we're just going to leave. So they left, and 3 days later, they got the test results back, and they were all positive, and they never even took the test.
Well, that's bizarre.
I know, that's what they said too.
Yeah, that would be Rite Aid in North Muskegon, and I'm not sure where they send the test, but I know that you know, that we've typically had difficulty with non-medical type providers. So I know those test results have come back slowly. Those are tests that has to be performed by the resident, which the rate of positive and the rate of negative is very skewed, but not taking a test at all and getting a result is ridiculous. So hopefully they didn't bill insurance.
I hope not too. Thank you. Does anybody else have any questions for Kathy?
Yeah, I have a question.
Go ahead, Bob.
Kathy, just out of curiosity, when someone dies and they're reported, there's reported a death from the coronavirus, how do you know it's the coronavirus?
We have to have a doctor certify that. So we've had, over 600 deaths altogether, but we're saying 67 of them are related to COVID-19. Most of the time it's not coronavirus 100%. It's a comorbidity. We've had 2 positive individuals that died of an automobile accident. That is not considered a COVID death. We had one that had a different medical condition that we took out of our COVID deaths, but the state came back later and said that their medical director is certifying that it is a COVID death.
So if they are COVID positive and they die, even though it may be more than one thing, that's listed as a COVID.
Yeah, it's listed as a comorbidity. They're saying that COVID-19 contributed to their death, even though it may not be the overall cause.
I understand. Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have one more, if you don't mind. So where is this all going then? I mean, will we eventually become immune?
That is, so we're looking at a vaccine towards the end of the year, hopefully. And eventually, as people get it and build their immunity, the research is showing that even though that antibodies sort of lay dormant in your body, if you're re-exposed, that it will reactivate. So eventually, I think we'll have enough people in our general population where we would either be immune or, we'd have so few cases that we're not concerned about hospital capacity or running out of PPE.
Okay.
Thank you. Anybody else for questions for Kathy?
Madam Chair, Sheriff Poulin here.
Yes, go ahead, Sheriff.
I was going to give a brief report at the public comments, but since we're on the topic with Commissioner Hovey Wright asking, if you'd like that now on this topic, I'd be more than happy to.
Yes, please go right ahead.
Okay, so just to, at the last 3 committee meetings last week, they were running a little late and I didn't have all the information at that time and I really kind of wanted to wait. But on the 31st, this past month, we had our first housed person that had tested positive for COVID-19. That individual was brought into court from district court into the jail about 11:30 in the morning. That person works at a senior living center and is tested every Wednesday. So they would have been tested on the 26th. Once they were brought into the facility that evening, their family got a hold of us to let us know that they received the results and that person had tested positive. That was a little bit after 8 o'clock in the evening. The staff at the jail followed our protocols for COVID-19. That individual was placed in a single positive pressure cell by themselves. And the remaining inmates that were in the housing unit with that person were moved to 2 separate housing units just to help establish distancing for them. I made a call that evening to our district court administrator. I talked with Patrick. It was decided that he would contact facilities and I'd notify the prosecutor's office and the public defender's office, really anybody that was involved with this individual throughout the day. And I did reach out to public health that evening, but I didn't get through to Kathy. It was more of a courtesy just to keep her in the loop, as she stated. Once I got a hold of everybody that was involved, I did get a hold of Mr. Eisenbarth just to, once again, just keep him apprised of what was going on. And to let him know that Patrick had called facilities and those areas that the individual was at, there was cleaning done throughout the HOJ. Just after 9 o'clock, I did get a hold of Mercy Hospital, at which time we were forwarded pre-registration forms that would be submitted with each test sample that they would receive. Those test samples were picked up in the morning and were able to offer tests to those individuals that would take one. Initially, we had 18 inmates that were exposed, excluding the source and county staff. Prior to 9 o'clock that next morning, 3 of the inmates had been released, their bond paid or a court order. It was prior to the morning, and there's really not much we could do on that. The third one did refuse testing when they were leaving, the one left on the court order. Of the 15 people left, 3 consented to testing, 12 refused. We had those people also sign a refusal form, and the initial source was retested herself then. And our 3 staff members were tested at that time, and that being 2 deputies and 1 prosecutor that morning. Our source, the person that came in, was released from the court order in the morning with the bond being reinstated, with a 14-day quarantine, and then to be retested in 3 weeks. With the test kits that we did, we expect the results back in 2 to 3 days. On Saturday, we did get the information back. Let me find it here for you. Of all the people that were tested, we did have 1 positive. And it actually was not the individual, the source that came in, it was a different person. Following the recommendations of the hospital, we did offer testing again on day 5, which would have been yesterday, and we'll do that again on day 14. Once again, that individual is also moved to a positive pressure cell. The individual that initially we were told had the test, she did test positive the week before, but when our facility, she did not test positive at that time. Right now, as far as the Executive Order 170, which requires to have inmates tested prior to coming in and leaving, that is supposed to start today. We're still waiting for our test kits from MDHHS, and so we can get rolling on that at this time. Right now, we are just getting them from the hospital with their assistance, and that's worked out very well. That's where we are about right now. We'll know in a few more days.
Thank you, Sheriff, for being so proactive in that situation. I really appreciate that. Now we will move on to Finance Director Beth Dick in a public hearing. So I will open the public hearing and turn the meeting over to Beth.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I believe you need to take a vote to open the public hearing.
Do I? All right. Do I have a motion and support to open the public hearing?
I'll make that motion, Madam Chair.
Support.
We have a motion and support. Madam Clerk, may I have a roll call to open the public hearing on the proposed budget for 2021?
Commissioner Mahoney. Commissioner Mahoney,
Yes.
Koenig,
Yes.
Commissioner Snyder,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins, Commissioner Wilkins to open up the public hearing. Vice Chair Foster,
Yes.
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Laring,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins, and Chairman Hughes.
Yes.
8 yes, 7 yes, 1 excused, and 1 no answer.
Thank you very much. That motion carries. Our Finance Director, Beth Dick, please.
Thank you very much. Yes, this is Beth Dick, County of Muskegon Finance Director, as well as Assistant County Administrator. This afternoon, I am going to cover the 2021 proposed budget. The budgets were distributed to the County Board of Commissioners beginning on August 20th. We are required by law to hold a public hearing on the budget. A notice was published in the Chronicle on Sunday, August 30th, and the fiscal 2021 budget information has been available on the county's budget website. Beginning with the 2021 general fund budget, which is the primary operating fund of the county. Property tax revenues are the primary source of revenue for the general fund. For the current fiscal year, we experienced a 3.5% increase in our taxable values for fiscal 2020. The trend for fiscal 2021, the property tax increase, the taxable value increase, is comprised of two components, which is an increase in the Consumer's Price Index, or CPI, which is basically inflation, which is currently projecting at a 1.4% increase over last year, and that's based on a September to September comparison. The other component that makes up our taxable value increase is growth in our tax base, and we're projecting a continuation of new growth of about 1.6%, which would be from new housing, new business development, and business expansions. So the total of the two components of 1.4 and 1.6 is 3%, which is the projected taxable value increase that we have included in our fiscal 2021 budget. And just for a frame of reference, a 1% increase in taxable value is equal to about $250,000 in property tax revenues. And this is a historical trend graph that shows what the revenues have been for the last 12 years, basically going back to 2010, showing we had a decline, and you can't actually see off the graph here, but we started the decline back in 2009 due to the recession that occurred back in those years, and then it has gradually climbed back up to where we're projecting for 2021 at $27.2 million. And just as a frame of reference, the loss of revenues that we've experienced during the years of decline and going back to where we are now, from basically 2010 to 2017, where we started to get back to where we were, is a loss of revenues of about $18 million during that time period. Other revenues in the general fund, our state revenue sharing we received from the state government. We have anticipated it to be reduced by 20% from the governor's original budget that she proposed back for COVID-19 came into play. And at that time, she had built in a 2.3% increase for counties, but because of the COVID crisis, we've assumed a 20% reduction from that number. And also because they have reduced our revenue sharing for the current fiscal year. We are showing charges for services an increase from the current year of $813,000 to a $9.8 million budget for charges for services. And this is basically bringing us back to pre-COVID-19 levels. We did experience a loss in some of these revenues this fiscal year in 2020. Increase in jail revenues and the court revenues, which is where we saw the largest decline this year in those revenues for the general fund. And then DTRF, I apologize for the acronym, stands for Delinquent Tax Revolving Transfer of $1,450,000 for fiscal 2021. This is funds that are available that are not in the general fund, but from when people are paying their taxes delinquent, they are charged interest and penalties. And over the years, that has increased a fund of money available to be transferred to the general fund, but that has slowly declined over the years. When the economy has gotten better, the less amount of funds that are available in that fund to transfer to the general fund. This is a historical graph showing the revenue sharing that we've received over the last 11, 12 years. Again, showing we've gone up as high as 4.1 million back in 2011, then it dropped back down and it's been rather static for a number of years. And then we've received a cut in fiscal 20 and we've assumed about the same amount, a little bit higher in 2021. Expenditures of the county's general fund. The largest portion of our expenditures are salaries and fringes, which is due to the fact that we are primarily a service organization, and it makes up nearly 50% of those expenditures, the salaries and fringes do. We are anticipating an 11% increase in our medical insurance for county employees effective January 1st, which is about a $603,000 increase. Our retirement costs are decreasing about $116,000, and that is due to some measures that have occurred over the last several years where we've done pension obligation bonds and and other measures to reduce those costs. And then we've also got a decrease in, and OPEB stands for Other Post-Employment Benefits, which is the insurance to our retirees. As of our last actuarial valuation, we were 103% funded. So we are showing a savings or a reduction of those charges to departments of $416,000 from the current fiscal year. And then we also have a workers' compensation reserve that we have been using for the last, I believe, 4 years. So those charges are not occurring in the departmental budgets. This slide shows the appropriations to other funds, and that is another large expenditure within the general fund. We provide, a lot of times it's local match from the general fund to these other funds. And in other years, it has been support to basically balance those funds. So this graph shows the trend over the last several years of those appropriations, and these list down here the larger funds that have amounts. The child care fund is the red band, which is the largest general fund appropriation that we have. And then the jail JTC debt is the purple band that started in 2017. We also have an appropriation to family court, Health West, public health. We used to have Brookhaven, but that went away after 2017 when we closed the facility, airport and transit in various years. And those appropriations in the fiscal 2021 budget, the larger ones are listed here. The child care fund at 4.2 million, the jail JTC at nearly 7 million, public health at 1.8 million, family court at 1.5, the indigent defense fund at $1.1 million, Health West at a little over 700,000. And we do not have any appropriations for airport or MATS, which is the transit system, the bus system. In fiscal 2021, they've received a significant amount of CARES Act funding, which should help support their operations and any capital requests that they have for fiscal 2021. So the total amount of general fund revenues budgeted currently for fiscal 2021 is $49,446,671. This graph shows the trend of those revenues over the last several years, showing that we've had an increase for a number of years. And then we've obviously this year, fiscal 20, we're affected by COVID and bringing those revenues back up for fiscal 21 a little bit. This graph shows how those revenues break down by category. The largest, as I previously mentioned, is taxes, which at 57.35%, that is not only property taxes, it is also liquor tax money that the county receives. We receive payment in lieu of tax and delinquent tax personal property. So that's all part of that. The next largest is the orange slice over here at nearly 20%, which is charges for services. And that is revenue generated within the courts, register of deeds, equalization. The sheriff and the clerk also have revenues that fall into this category. Number 3 largest is the yellow, which is intergovernmental, which is our revenue we receive from the state and a little bit from the federal government. Revenue sharing, state court equity, and a personal property tax reimbursement, all from the state. And then the green is not the green, black, the transfers in represents revenue from transfers from the delinquent tax fund. The green is actually revenue, we say contributions from private sources. That's actually our DTE test and tune program. Those were slides showing the percentages. Here's the dollars associated with those numbers for 2021. Our property tax revenue at 26.28 million, along with there's a delinquent tax component at 960,000. Here's the personal property tax reimbursement we get from the state at $1.5 million. Liquor tax monies at about 850,000. The revenue sharing, state revenue sharing at a little over 3 million. The transfer from the delinquent tax fund, $1,450,000. Industrial facilities tax, these are just some smaller revenues that are coming in. We do not have a transfer this year from the tax forfeiture fund or the public improvement fund. State court equity, also from the state, is about just under $1 million. Here's the DTE test and tune program, $1,870,000. Administrative cost reimbursement at $2.5 million. That's revenue from that comes into the general fund for the central service functions that are performed by various departments like accounting, HR, administration, treasurer's office, that is charged out to other funds, grant funds and enterprise funds that pay for a portion of that cost. Very small amount of other federal grants and other miscellaneous state grants, a small amount of investment income. And then charges for services of 7.2 million, fines and forfeitures and judicial salary reimbursement. Again, smaller amounts, 600,000 for each of those. Rental income and just a miscellaneous other coming down to our 49.45 million in general fund revenues. Expenditures are budgeted at 51,252,041. This is a graph that shows the historical trend of the expenditures over the last several years, showing again an increase, gradual increase, and then slightly lower year this year and a little bit higher budgeted for next year at this point. And this shows how our expenditures break down by function. You can see the largest portion in yellow is public safety, which is the sheriff's jail, courtroom security, road patrol, all of those areas. The next largest, or I'm sorry, actually this year, general government is slightly higher at 29.64%. And general government is where our clerk, register of deeds, equalization, our treasurer's office, accounting, HR, administration, all are part of general government. And then public safety is just after that. And then the blue is those appropriations that I mentioned earlier, where we're transferring general fund money to various other funds like child care fund, public health, Health West, family court, jail JTC, debt service, and indigent defense. And this breaks down the dollars by those various functions. Legislative is the Board of Commissioners at about 400,000, judicial at 6.66 million, general government at 15.119 million, public safety at 14.88 million, small amount of recreation, debt service, and then here's the appropriations to all those other funds at 13.6 million for a total of 51.25 million. This total this slide shows the total revenues that are currently proposed, 49.45, the total expenditures of 51.25, which shows a deficit of $1.8 million. And the board had approved earlier this fiscal year to allow departments to participate in a work share program savings program that saved about 600,000 in the current fiscal year that could be carried over and utilize our unassigned fund balance for fiscal 2021. Other options for balancing the 2021 budget are continuation of furloughs through December. It's supposed to be 2020, not 2021. I apologize, I didn't make that correction. Employee layoffs is another possibility. To resurrect the tax allocation board, to possibly adjust our millage rate, and additional utilization fund balance. Those are the various options that the board could look at doing to remove that deficit. Looking at all funds of the county, not just the general fund, the total of the all funds budget for revenues is 233,842,544, and that includes the general fund at 49.45 million, but it also includes all of the other operations throughout the county. This shows on an all funds basis how our revenues break down by category. And if you recall, the general fund, the largest revenue is property taxes or taxes. However, when we look at it on a countywide basis, the largest is this yellow, which is charges for services. And that is because grouped in that category are the revenues generated by our wastewater department, solid waste, Health West, our regional water system, IT, as well as the general fund. Expenditures on an all funds basis is 236,130,064. And looking at this by function, if you recall, when we looked at it earlier, the largest portion for the general fund was our general government and then public safety. Looking at it on an all funds basis, our largest component countywide is health expenditures, which is where we include our public health, Health West, wastewater and solid waste are also considered to be health. And then the general government is also the next largest, which is where our airport, transit, our insurance fund and the general fund fall. Looking at total revenues countywide at 233,840,000, expenditures of 236,130,000. The total has a deficit of 2.29 million, but there are sufficient fund balances to cover those shortfalls in funds that this results in a deficit. Also, because these two millages are county-wide millages, we include a slide on the museum and central dispatch. The museum is actually on a calendar fiscal year. They will be bringing their 2021 budget to the board for approval later this fall, but their 2020 budget is currently at 2,177,000 revenues and expenditures. There is, this represents their original budget. However, they do have an amendment that they're going to be bringing to their board later this month due to COVID. They've got some adjustments in their budget. Central Dispatch for 2021 has 7.6 million in revenues and 6.8 million in expenditures. And this budget was approved back in, August. The millage levies that are part of this budget, we did hold a truth and taxation hearing back in June of this year for setting the 2020 millages. And those millage rates were as follows: the county operating at 5.6978 mils, which was levied on July 1st. The museum at 0.322 mils, which will be levied December 1st. The Veterans Affairs at 0.0751 mils, also in December, will be levied. Central Dispatch at 0.2999 mils, and the Senior Activities and Services operating millage at 0.499 mils. Both of those will be levied in December. The 2021 budget anticipates levying for the county operating the same amount at 5.6978 mils in July of 2021. And that concludes my presentation.
Beth, I have a question.
Yes, go right ahead, Zach.
You in one of your, I don't know, probably the second or third slide, you talk about an increase in charge for services. It went from 800,000 to almost 7 million. Can you explain that?
This slide right here.
No, just flipped. Charge for service, yes, to 9 million.
Yes, so
Charge.
the increase that is being referred to is an increase over the current fiscal year. And that is because we're anticipating that the reductions that we've experienced this year because of COVID-19 have will not be impacting us into next year based on the budgets that were submitted by the departments, that we should be getting back to more normal levels that we were before COVID-19.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Well, what was it for, I guess what, you probably don't know off the top of your head. So what did 2019 look like for charge for service?
Just a moment. I can try to look it up real quick.
Beth, are you saying that the 813 without COVID would have been 9 million?
No, what I'm saying is the 813,000 is the increase from fiscal 2020's amended budget. And the 9.8 is what we're budgeting in fiscal 2021.
I see. You're not saying it's going to change from 831,000 to 9.8 million.
No.
I see what you're saying now. Thank you. I think that's
So,
what Zach was asking too.
so the fiscal 19 charges for services ended the year at about 9.7 million, 9.9,707,000. And we've included in your proposed 2021 budget, 9,744,000. So I rounded it up, but it's virtually almost the same as fiscal 19 for that category.
Perfect. Does anybody else have any questions for Beth?
We do have some participants for the public hearing. Donna Iverson and Peggy Manser.
Go ahead, Donna. Donna, are you there? All right, Peggy, are you there?
Yes, I'm here right now. Can you hear me?
Sure, go ahead. And is
Okay.
this Donna or Peggy?
This is Peggy.
Okay, sure,
All
go ahead,
right.
Peggy.
All right, I'm Peggy Manzer, and I'm with Ravenna Township Senior Citizens. And I just wanted to take a minute to thank the commission as well as all those that serve on the Muskegon County Human Services Committee. And
Peggy, this is a public hearing on the budget. Does this have something to do with the budget?
I think it's under the reports. Is that communication later then?
Yes, it would be.
Okay, all right, that's okay. I'm sorry, I will wait.
That's okay, thank you.
Thank you.
How do I raise my hand?
Is there any other information, anybody, other questions on the budget hearing?
I heard somebody speaking. Go ahead.
Chris, did you have a comment on the public hearing?
Yeah, I do. I can't find the place to raise my hand, so that's why.
Okay,
I'm
that's
raising
okay.
it. Thank you. So, what is the end result here? I'm not sure that I caught what we're going to be doing. You said the millage rate is going to stay the same next year, or is it going up because we have a shortfall in the budget?
This budget that's being presented currently assumes the same rate, the millage rate, as this fiscal year of 5.6978 mils. However, there is a component built in for increase in our property tax revenues of a 3% increase in our taxable value. And that's because our taxable values go up based on the components of inflation. If there's an inflationary component, we're allowed to increase taxable values for that inflationary component. And additionally, we get new revenue if there's growth in the tax base, if there's new housing developments, if there's expansions in businesses, those kind of things. So the millage rate is proposed at this point to stay the same. The options that were presented to the board, and I'd have to find the slide here.
Yeah, I saw the options.
Yeah. So
oh, go ahead.
any increase in the actual millage rate would have to go to the voters for approval.
Okay, so you're not proposing an increase in taxes at this point?
Not at this point.
Okay, and when would that be? Next year if you had to do that?
It would be if the board chooses to take, chooses that option at whatever time they would choose to do that.
Okay, is there any reason why in your options there you don't have an option to reduce the size of departmental budgets?
That's really what furloughs and layoffs would do, the first two options.
Okay, but you don't have any options to reduce or to make more efficient the departments that are already functioning. Is that because you don't think they can be made more efficient, or is there not any suggestions from the department managers at this point that they could actually do something like that?
Actually, through, the department heads are constantly looking at efficiencies within their departments. They've been doing that even through the whole COVID-19 crisis, where we've already been doing furloughs. So that's a constant thing that our department heads look at on a regular basis.
Okay, I guess that's all.
Hello,
I
this is Donna Iverson.
Yes, go ahead, Donna.
I guess my audio was turned off. I didn't realize I had to. I want to speak to the same issue Peggy Manzer did, so I should wait till the end of the meeting. Is that correct?
Actually, right after this part of the meeting is over, we will go into public comment on anything.
Oh, okay,
Right
thank
now,
you.
it is the budget hearing.
Okay, thank you. Sorry.
No problem. Let me see, I don't.
Madam Chair, Kim has his hand raised.
Ken?
Kim.
Kim?
Yes.
Yes, go right ahead.
I'm just curious, they showed an 11% tax increase in the medical insurance in the new budget. And I'm just wondering if that has been bid out in recent years or not to different medical insurance providers. And that's all.
We have managed to, we used to offer multiple medical plans to our county employees, and that has changed over the last several years. We are now only offering one plan, which is a health savings account, an HSA plan. So we are constantly looking at the options of reducing costs in that area. We have a insurance broker that we work with, and I don't remember if this was a year that we bid that back out or not, but we do that periodically as those contracts expire.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Beth, do you have a number on that, or can you get us one? What the savings on that total is?
Since we switched to the HSA plan?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have it off the top of my head, but we can get something.
Okay. That'd be great. Thank you. Is there anyone else? Anyone else? I don't see any hands, so if you have
Beth,
something, please come in.
yeah, I have one more question for Beth, if I may.
Sure, go
Commissioner
ahead.
Larry. So Beth, with the 2.29 million budget deficit, do the furloughs and layoff projected to be able to balance that? I mean, you've got that as one of the suggested options. Will that actually, will it balance that budget out if we go forward with that?
And just looking at the general fund, I think the other one, the total that you were referring to is the all funds. The furloughs that we've discussed in past meetings would not completely offset that entire deficit for extending our work share program through the end of December, but it would definitely contribute to lowering that deficit amount.
Thank you, Beth. I guess I have a question on that too. We are not sure yet what kind of funds we are going to get from the COVID relief yet either, are we? We don't really know where our budget shortfalls will lie, if they even lie at all, because we're not sure where our grants are going to come in.
Right. For fiscal 2021, there hasn't really been a, they're doing all the 2020 grants right now. So for fiscal 2021, we don't know for sure what CARES Act funding might be available next fiscal year. So that will be something to come. I did just receive a notification from Director Kristen Wade that the insurance bids are actually being bid out right now. So
great. So we do have the possibility of this looking much better as we move forward with all the things that we have to look forward to. So,
Madam Chair.
Yes, go right ahead, Bob.
Beth, you applied for that COVID relief fund. You applied for 2.2 million. You know you're not going to get it all.
Right.
But whatever, you're going to get likely to get half or less, but a fair amount. That isn't in there yet, right? In the revenue.
No, and that's for fiscal 2020. So, so far, all the grants that we've applied for are related to this fiscal year, to fiscal 2020, which you approved an amended budget earlier this year without some of those revenues included. You're correct that 2.1 million that we applied for, I learned within the last week that there was $200 million worth of funds available for that. It was the public safety and public health payroll reimbursement. There was $200 million available. They received 350 million in requests. So today I attended a webinar just before this board meeting, and they indicated that they received more requests than they have funds available. We can expect to potentially receive about 50% of what we asked for. So I will be bringing a budget amendment forward for this fiscal year, incorporating about 50% of what we requested. So that'll help the 2020 budget. I don't have anything applied for yet that will help the 2021 budget because we really haven't been notified of those dollars yet.
Okay.
I have another question.
Sure, go right ahead. Is that Chris? Go ahead,
Thank you.
Chris.
Yeah, it is. Could you explain a little bit more of the funds transfer? Because you said this shortfall of close to 2 million. I think as I heard you, you were going to be able to cover that with funds transfer. Could you explain how the funds transfer occurs? Is that excess capital you have in different places, or how do you?
No, I don't believe I said funds transfer. I would have said a fund balance, additional utilization of fund balance. The county currently has what's called an unassigned fund balance of about $9.6 million. So potentially we could use some of our we call them reserves or fund balance. We are already transferring money from the delinquent tax fund, about $1,450,000. So that's already built into the budget prior to this $1.8 million deficit that we're showing.
So the 9.6 is basically your rainy day fund, or?
That's another way to refer to it.
Basically have capital available to you that you're not using in any specific place.
I'm in a meeting.
It's years that we've accumulated where we've had years that revenues have exceeded expenses, that we've built up a fund balance, a reserve.
That's a reserve, okay. And
we do have a certain amount of that they expect us to keep, otherwise we get a penalty.
Okay, do you know what that number is compared to the 9.6?
Beth knows that right off the top of her head.
7 million.
I figured.
So right, yes. So we have the county itself has a financial policy that we will maintain our reserves between 14 and 19% of expenditures. And so at the low end of that range, 14%, that would mean we could bring our reserves down as low as about $7 million and not be below that policy.
Okay. And what with your funding of the pension, that has a range also, doesn't it? Was it 40 to 40% at the bottom?
For the pension, we have to be above 60% funded. We are currently at 81% funded. And for our what's called OPEB or other post-employment benefits, we have to be above 40% funded, and we're at 103%.
And that 103, that was done what, in prior years?
It's been our last valuation that we got last fall. We were, the numbers came out that we were 103% funded, and that's been due to some of the changes that the board has approved to change providers on some of our retiree insurance for Medicare, our Medicare Advantage program. The costs that we've gone with different providers have come down significantly. So as a result of that, and some of the other changes that we've made with our medical insurance plans have allowed us to become basically over 100% funded.
That was mainly due to cost reductions?
Cost reductions and changes in our medical insurance plans for our retirees.
Okay. So in terms of, does the current budget show salary increases right now? I know that's one of your potential ways you can balance things, but what's your current average salary increase on this current budget here?
We've included a 2% wage increase in accordance with all of our union contracts that have the 2% increase that was approved by the board back when those contracts were approved.
So that was approved in advance for the following fiscal year?
We approve contracts on, it's either a 4 or a 5-year basis. The first several years, the 2% wage was approved for each of the I think the first 3 years. I believe it's a 5-year contract. And then the last 2 years are up for renegotiation. For fiscal 2021, it's already built in.
What percentage of the county force is union? I mean, administration versus working people. Is all the administration, they're not in unions, I would imagine. It would only be workers in departments, not management level.
Right. There, we do have a group of non-bargaining as well. I do not have the ratio. The director of HR said we're about 60% of our workforce is union.
Okay. And this, so your suggestion to not give raises would be for the 40%, I presume that, because you're bound by contract to do the 2% raise to the union?
That was not a suggestion I made, but that would be something that could be done. We've included a 2% increase for the non-bargaining staff as well. So the other ones are union contract bound, and we would have to go back to the table to make any change to that.
Okay, yeah, I thought that was one of your suggestions on where you could save money. So
these were
I heard that pay raises, total payment raises might be in the vicinity of $750,000. You know what?
Talking about in my narrative, in the narrative. Yeah, there's a 2% wage increase. There are also what we call merit increases built into the budget. So the combination of those two was that figure that you just referred to.
So the 2% is inflation, and what's the merit raise that's in your budget right now?
That is employees have pay ranges that have steps. And so if you're not at the top step of your pay range, if you have a successful evaluation of a positive performance evaluation, then you go to the next step of your pay scale.
That's automatic every year, or just if you're?
Yes. If you have a satisfactory performance evaluation, yes.
Really? So you don't grade on a curve then, huh?
A point of order. Is this a public meeting or a public hearing? What are the rules with regard to this?
It's a public comment on the actual budget, maybe not necessarily how we manage as far as how people are graded on their scales. Like Chris was asking, we want to stick to the actual budget.
Yeah, that was a comment. I didn't really expect an answer from that. Thank you. I'm sorry. And what's your travel budget in the current budget you're proposing for all travel? Is it
I'm sorry.
$250,000?
I did not hear the first part of your question.
Okay, I'm sorry. What is the total amount of travel expenses in your current budget?
In the general fund, travel and staff development is $270,000.
You have training programs and all that. That's the main thrust for the travel then?
Yes.
For professional development.
Professional development, seminars, travel related to any professional education.
And that wasn't in one of your options in order to bring the cost of the budget down?
It's not a suggestion on this list, but it's something that could be considered.
Okay.
Anyone
Well,
else?
Just one general comment. I hope that the commissioners decide to not increase the expenses for the county services and the total budget. I hope they find a way to be able to balance that so there won't be any need to go back to the taxpayers with a millage increase. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Is there anyone else?
Susie,
Bob, go ahead.
may I just say,
Sure.
have we increased the millage rate ever?
We attempted to go to the voters back in 2004, I believe it was, for a Headley override to bring us back to our full authorized millage of 6.2 mils, and that did not pass. So the millage rate was originally implemented and approved by the voters back in, I believe, 1974. And due to Headley, it has been rolled back many of those years after that down to our current millage of 5.6978 mils.
But if, I don't think I believe we cannot increase the millage rate without a vote of the people.
That is correct. You can, I mean, we've done separate millages, like the senior millage was a separate millage under a separate statute.
But that's a vote of the people.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all. Thank you.
So Beth, you're saying we have not had a millage increase since 2004?
No.
We haven't had a millage increase since 1974 because the
For the
original
general fund budget.
Oh, since
Right.
1974.
That was when the original county general fund operating millage was established at 6.2 mils.
Okay.
And because of Headley, it has rolled back, is what it's called, Headley rollback, down to the current level of 5.6978 mils. So it's about a half a mil less than what was originally authorized back in 1974.
Right, but the cost to taxpayers continues to go up. One of the major ones was the forcing people onto the sewer system for people that had adequate leach fields already. So, you know, the taxpayers don't want to keep having to pay more or be forced to have to go on to services that they don't really need. So just, it's kind of strange that the millage rate stays exactly the same, but baked into the pie is even if the economy turns down, the taxes on people's homes can go up. And that's
And a lot of times they go up because of sewer and water, but the county doesn't do that. That's a municipality and city decision, whether you're required to hook up or not a county decision. Anyone else have any questions? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
So moved.
We have a motion and support. Madam Clerk, may I have a roll call, please?
Skolnick,
Yes.
Commissioner Snyder,
Yes.
Yes.
Vice Chair Foster,
Yes.
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Laring,
Yes.
Commissioner Mahoney,
Yes.
close the hearing.
I vote yes.
8 yes, 1 excuse.
Thank you. And we will move on to public comment on an agenda item. We're going to start with Donna, please. Donna Iverson, please go right
Okay.
ahead, Donna.
I'd like to address the Ravenna Senior Citizens Monthly Grocery Transportation Service to seniors in Muskegon County. And I've been one of the lucky recipients of this. And since the pandemic started, once a month, this wonderful group of volunteers from Ravenna senior citizens group has let me order groceries, and they have shopped for me and delivered those groceries free to Nelson Place, where I live on Houston Avenue. And I'm not the only one. There are a great number, quite a few people who live here who get the same service. And it's my understanding that there are several senior apartment buildings in the county that this service is provided to once a month. And it's my understanding that the funds for this has basically been cut, and this service will stop at the end of the year. So I'm here to ask for the continuation of this service. As a recipient, I don't have a car and I'm afraid to get on public transportation. So this service has provided me with critical groceries that I wouldn't have been able to get otherwise. It's a lifeline. And I know there are a number of seniors in Muskegon County who are in the same boat. It's my understanding that this service costs the county around $6,000 or $7,000. And to me, it's very much worth it for what you get, the benefit you get from it. And a taxpayer in the county who's a friend of mine, I told him about the service, and he said, you know, I didn't know where that senior millage went to, but I'm really happy to hear that it's going to something so worthwhile. And finally, I'd just like to give a shout out to the volunteer women who do this service. Not only do they shop for us and take our order and deliver our groceries, but they are the kindest, most generous people and so helpful. And I just can't say enough good about them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Donna. We appreciate that. Peggy, are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Okay, come ahead.
All right, thank you. I am Peggy Manzer, and with Ravenna Township Senior Service Coordinator. And I just want to take this time to thank the commissioners, as well as all those that have served on the Muskegon County Human Services Committee and the Muskegon County Senior Activities Committee for all the work done to provide the aging population and Muskegon County programs through the senior millage grants. Thanks to those grants received, Ravenna Township has been able to provide services to over 160 different Ravenna area participants over the past fiscal year. In the letter I sent to each of the commissioners, I detailed how the community has done their share of generously contributing time and resources to these programs as well. These programs would not exist in the capacity they currently do without partnership of grant funding and the community involvement and resources. I have some written comments from two of our participants that express what we hear often from many of our seniors, much like Donna. Sharon had written, never ever did we anticipate so much attention to our needs, especially during the COVID-19 quarantine. Ravenna folks have been blessed by our county government through the existing grants. And then Dan also shared, up until the COVID-19 calamity stopped community socialization as we knew it, you had a monthly dinner and a fun time every month of the year. You drove many of us to Walmart for our groceries and needed items. When our governor stopped that, you gathered helpers and did our shopping for us and brought our necessities right to our homes. What a great help these aids have been, and to many of us who no longer can get out and around as we always have. And our desire as a Ravenna Township coordinator is to continue to provide these essential services and partnering with the county to give them the services they've appreciated over the past year. And then just want to again say thank you for your consideration.
Thank you very much, Peggy. Is there anyone else? I don't see any hands raised. If there's anyone else who has comments, public comment, please let me know. Seeing none, we will move on. You'll see that, I'm pulling out my agenda here. Communication, there's some communication that will be on file from the Algoma County and Leelanau County resolutions. Those will be placed on file. And those are the only two things that we have under that. We will move on to committee and board reports. Commissioner Snyder, Courts and Public Safety, please.
Madam Chair, the Courts and Public Safety Committee met on September 1, 2020. It was recommended and I move CPS 20/09-32 and CPS 20/09-33.
Support.
Support.
Oh,
We have
dear.
a motion and support. Is there any comments, questions, or concerns?
Good.
Any comments, questions, or concerns? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, may I have a roll call, please?
Snyder,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Love you guys.
Yes.
Kirsten, I'm leaving, bud.
Wilkins,
Can you handle it? Okay.
I'll come back to you. Vice Chair Foster,
Yes.
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Laring,
Yeah, yes on 32, no on 30.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Yes on 32, no on 33.
Thank you. Commissioner Mahoney,
Yes.
Commissioner Skolnick,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Hughes.
Chairman Hughes on 32 and 33, please.
Yes.
Thank you. We have on 32, and we have 7 yes, 1 no, and 1 excused on 33.
And those motions carry.
And that completes the report of the Courts and Public Safety Committee.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Snyder. Now we will move on to Human Services. Commissioner Hovey Wright, would you please take that over in the absence of Commissioner Nash, who is returning from vacation today?
Yes, I will. Thank you. The Human Services Committee met on September 1st of 2020, and it was recommended, and I move HS 20/08-17 and HS 20/08-18 be approved. I'll take them separately, the first group and the second group.
All right. We have a motion on
Support.
17 and 8. Thank you, Commissioner Gary. Commissioner Foster just flew out of my mind. Thank you, Commissioner Foster. Are there any comments, questions, or concerns on this motion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, may I have a roll call, please?
Wilkins on 17 and 18.
Yes.
Thank you. Vice Chair Foster,
Yes.
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
No on 17, yes on 18.
thank you. Commissioner Laring,
No on 17 and 18.
thank you. Commissioner Mahoney,
No on 17, yes on 18.
Skolnick, Commissioner Skolnick
Yes.
on 17 and 18.
Yes.
Commissioner Snyder,
No on 17, yes on 18.
and Chairman Hughes.
Yes.
4 yes on 17, 4 no on 17, 1 excused, and on 18, 6 yes, 1 no, 7 yes, 1 no, and 1 excused.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. 17 fails, 18 passes. Commissioner Hovey Wright.
Okay, I move, it was recommended and I move HS 20 dash or slash 09 dash 21, HS 20 slash 09 dash 22, and HS 20 slash 09 dash 23.
Support.
We have a motion and support for HS 21, 22, and 23. Any comments, questions, or concerns?
I have a couple on 23.
Yes, go ahead, Ken.
I'm a little concerned with us allocating money that we don't know we have yet. We're assuming that we will have it, but there's no guarantee that it's there. The second thing is I'd let the process work it through the committee, which is our intent, instead of bypassing that whole process. We have plenty of time. The vendor bills will all be in by October 15th. We'll know how much cash we had, and the Senior Activities Committee can then reallocate not only these three, but others as well.
Yeah, and I guess I can speak for myself as chair or acting chair, and I would agree with Ken on 23. We won't know until like mid-October that money will be available or how much, and then we can relook at everything. And this really it bypasses the committee and disrespects them, I believe. The Senior Activities Committee who really looked at these very carefully, and with more money, different decisions can be made. So I really would not encourage a motion number 23, which takes the decision out of their hands.
Is that a motion to table that?
Explaining my vote.
Okay, is that a motion to table, or are you just explaining your
No,
vote? Okay,
I'm just explaining my vote.
all right, thank you. Any other
Madam
questions?
Chair.
Yes, go
Yes,
ahead,
I have a
Commissioner
question.
Foster.
No, it's Commissioner Laring.
Oh, I'm sorry, go
So
ahead, Commissioner Leary.
Yeah, so I'm wondering if 23, if it also is the Ravenna transportation, is that included in that through December 31st? Or is there funding in that through?
I would say no, because that's not how it reads. It says to extend senior meals and reinstate the snow plowing program
No.
for 3 months. So
Madam Chair, it says to reinstate Ravenna, Casanova, and Eggleston, all their allocations, and extend the senior meals and reinstate.
Right.
well, it says reinstate the allocation to extend senior meals and snow plowing. That's it.
Yeah.
That's the motion.
So I would like to make a motion that we add to that the senior transportation that is provided in answer at Ravenna.
And I would support that.
One of the things that was discussed in that, as I recall, is that it was favoring one store over all the others, and that was part of the concern.
One store, we've
Yeah,
actually.
only to Walmart.
They're not just going to Walmart, also going to Myers, and the owner of the business in Ravenna, the only grocery store in Ravenna, knows about this program and approves of this program. And he has wanted, so the business in Ravenna, these restaurants are being driven into Muskegon where there's larger.
Okay.
Zach, right now we have a motion on the floor right now to approve those three. And then we also had another motion to add the other things. Do you want to vote? I'm asking the board, do you want to vote on the first motion and then move on to the second motion? How do you want to do that? Or do you want-
Yes, vote on the first one.
Vote on the first one.
Add the two.
All right.
Taken separately.
Okay, well,
Right.
we will vote on the first motion, which is to approve reinstating Ravenna, Casanova, and Eggleston the allocation to extend senior meals and reinstate the snow plowing program for 3 months to December 31st, 2020. That is the first motion. We have a
Susie,
mo-
I think the motion was for all three, 21, 22, and 23.
Correct.
Yes. And
So
I'm just making sure that everybody understands that that's what we're voting on for 23. And then we have
You're-
another motion that we will come back.
Madam
on.
Chair,
Yes.
are you voting on them individually?
No, we're voting on all three
21,
together.
22?
22, 23, and
I
24.
would like them separately.
Okay. No problem.
Okay.
Madam Clerk, may I have a roll call on HS 20/0921 to authorize the County Purchasing Department to request proposals from qualified individuals, businesses, and organizations for senior millage grant administration services? Roll
Vice
call,
Chair
please.
Foster,
Yes.
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
yes.
Commissioner Laring,
Yes.
Commissioner Mahoney,
Yes.
Commissioner Skolnick,
Yes.
Commissioner Snyder,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes.
Chairman Hughes,
Yes,
8 yes, 1 excused.
that motion carries. Now we will move on to HS 20/0922 to approve the proposed 84,350 for 1/4 of the fiscal year 21 senior millage funding awards to senior resources for continuation of Medicare, Medicaid assistance program, in-home care, and supports coordination grants activities through December 31st, 2020. Madam Clerk, may I have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
Yes, on 22.
Commissioner Laring,
No.
Commissioner Mahoney,
Yes.
Yes.
Commissioner Skolnick,
Yes.
Commissioner Snyder,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes.
Vice Chair Foster,
Yes.
Commissioner Hughes.
Yes.
Chairman Hughes, I'm sorry.
Yes.
7 yes, 1 no, and 1 excused.
That motion carries. Now we are to HS 20/0923 to approve reinstating Ravenna, Casnovia, and Eggleston, the allocation to extend the senior meals and reinstate the snow plowing program for 3 months to December 31st, 2020. Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
this is Mike Homier. I just want to make sure that the way I construed Commissioner Laring's motion would be to amend that motion to add transportation. And I also construed then Commissioner Foster as supporting that motion to amend the original motion.
in that situation, do I have to ask the maker of the motion to approve that, or how do I do that?
No,
Mike?
there's a motion to amend with support, so you take a vote on that motion to amend.
Okay,
Madam
So I-
Chair,
And then
yes,
the whole motion.
Madam
Pardon me?
Chair,
yes, go ahead, Realstein.
yes, I can, is there any way that we can postpone this for a while? Because number one, I'm concerned about the snow plowing. And I mean, I need to see that addressed, and I don't think that has been handled right. We should look at it again.
Mike, I'm going to go back to you. Since there is a motion on the floor, can we entertain a motion to table
Already been
or
tabled.
amend?
23 hasn't been tabled.
No, it has not been tabled.
No, it was tabled a month ago.
Right, it was tabled a month ago.
It's not showing it on your, showing it on your committee report.
No.
And maybe it wasn't, then it wasn't tabled a month ago. It was included in this. It was approved at the last committee meeting to go on this agenda, because this is full board.
I would like to change the motion to have it appear discussed and brought back to us.
So you're asking to table this motion?
Yes, right.
Good.
Mike, I'm asking Mike Homier, what can I do on this?
Support her table.
We have another motion on the floor right now. We're supposed
Yeah,
to
we
be
have a motion
discussing.
on the floor.
Yeah, give me 1 second.
My corporate counsel is looking this up for me. Hold on.
Okay.
Susie, can I just say something here? It might make a difference.
Mike, no, Bob, I don't
No.
think so. I
Okay.
think until we know what we're doing,
I
there is no discussion. Do I have support from the person who made the original motion to table this?
I think I made that. Or did
You
not?
made the motion to table, Realstein.
Well, the
Yes,
original motion,
right.
the original motion was made by Commissioner Lee Wright to take 21, 22, and 23. Then there was
That's
an
correct.
amendment. And then there was a table. So I'm waiting for direction on where we are.
Commissioner Hovey
Well,
Wright,
I
are you
would-
willing to amend your motion to table 23?
Yes, I am.
And Commissioner Wilkins, you support that?
I'll support that, yes.
Point of order, a motion on the floor that Michael Mears is looking into the legality of. We need to wait for his response. You can't, my motion was to amend this motion, and he needs to respond to that.
So your county board rules state that a motion to postpone, which is what this would be, is a subsidiary motion. And it can be made by a person recognized by the chair to make such a motion. You can then vote on that motion to postpone to a date certain, as your county board rules indicate.
Thank you,
So
Mike.
let's take the motion to postpone.
So we have a motion to postpone this for how long, Realstein? Or actually, Marcia made the motion. Marcia, how long would you like to table this?
Until after a senior activities committee can meet. So let's say 30 days.
30 days, all right.
I'll support that.
All right. I have a motion on the floor.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Commissioner Skolnick.
here's my take on this. I sold snowplows for 20 years. It could snow in October. You're talking about $15,000 total here. And the vendor needs to get organized to do that. You just can't turn that on and off like a switch. So I'm opposed to tabling it. I mean, it's not a large amount of money, and it was a service that was used, and it was successful.
Thank you, Bob. And you can voice your opinion when we vote.
Okay.
Anyone else? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, may I have a roll call, please?
The roll call is on the motion to postpone for 30 days. Commissioner
Yes.
Laring,
No.
Commissioner Mahoney,
I'm postponing the amendment, or I'm postponing the whole thing?
I'm postponing number 23.
Okay.
We've already passed 21 and 22. The motion
Yeah,
now is on
But
23. And
Commissioner Laring had an amendment, and that was seconded. We've not dealt with that amendment at all.
Doesn't that have to be dealt with first before we, I don't know what first.
Mike,
No,
can you help me with
yeah,
that?
sure. So once a motion to postpone is appropriate, even while another motion is under debate. And so
okay.
that's what has been done. The chair recognized Commissioner Wilkins' motion
Okay.
to postpone was made and supported.
Okay, thank
Okay,
you.
I will vote yes.
Commissioner Mahoney votes yes. Commissioner Skolnick,
No.
Commissioner Snyder,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes.
Vice Chair Foster,
No.
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
Yes.
I gotta vote yes.
Chairman Hughes,
Yes.
This is
5 yes,
confusing.
3 no, and 1 excused. To postpone.
That motion carries to postpone for 30 days. Now I have an amendment from Commissioner Laring. Commissioner Laring, could you repeat that amendment for me, please? Or Madam Clerk, could you repeat that?
I don't have it, Your
Okay,
Madam Chair.
thank you
And
very
I
much.
also need to know who seconded it.
I did, Madam Chair.
Madam Clerk,
Thank
yeah,
you.
okay,
Oh,
all
I'm
right.
sorry, Madam Clerk.
Zach, could you repeat your motion, please?
I don't think you can do it.
Seeing no,
So
comments, we will move on.
To the corporate counsel from the county clerk, they've already postponed 23. Is the motion to amend 23, which has already been postponed, relevant and in order?
Yeah, the matter has been postponed.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. I appreciate that. Thank you, Mike. I appreciate that. And that completes the Health and the Human Services Committee. We will move on to Commissioner Skolnick and the Ways and Means Committee report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I promise this will be shorter. The Ways and Means Committee met on September 1st, 2020. It was recommended, and I move WM 20/09-72, 73, 74, 75, and 76.
Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Skolnick, second by Commissioner Hovey Wright. Any comments, questions, or concerns?
Yes, I'd like to make my comment that I disapprove of these motions that lump all these payments into one category. I'd like to see these things separated, and therefore I will be voting no on any expenditure that is lumped into other payments.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Seeing none, may I have a roll call, please, Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Mahoney,
Yes.
Commissioner Skolnick,
Yes.
Commissioner Snyder,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes.
Vice Chair Foster,
Yes.
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Laring,
No on 72, 73, and 75. Yes on 74 and 76.
Seven yes, 1 no, 1 excused on 72. 7 yes, 1 no, 1 excused on 73. 8 yes, 1 excused on 74. 7 yes, 1 no on 75 and 1 excused. And 7 yes, 8 yes, I'm sorry, on 76.
Madam Chair, that concludes my brief and well thought out report.
Thank you, Commissioner Skolnick. Next on our agenda is the chairman's report. And are there any committee liaisons that would like to have a report for us today?
Madam Chair, may I?
Yes, go right ahead, Commissioner Foster.
I'd just like to report that the Veterans Committee, along with your help and a few others, have met at Veterans Park, and we're looking at some improvements for the north side of the park.
Thank you very much. That was a very good meeting. I appreciate you helping get that set up. I'm looking forward to some really good solutions out there. I would like to move on with the chairman's report and tell you that since Labor Day is behind us, all of our schools are back to the school year. Some of them are holding classes in person, some of them are virtual, and some of them are a mixture of both. So we need to be as cognizant as possible with our employees and the students and make sure we do everything we can to support that new school year. I want to recognize the administrators, the teachers, and the students for their exceptional efforts in reopening the schools. This has really got to be a challenge for all of them. And I'm sure some of the little kids, this is really kind of scary to have all of those things when there's nobody around to support them in that. So it's really a big deal. And I appreciate all the parents and grandparents who are stepping up in this situation. Also, I want to let you know that Executive Order 2020-173 encourages that governmental agencies and officials continue to use electronic records and electronic signatures, and they are also continuing to recognize notarized signatures. And that the September Business for Breakfast State of Muskegon County will be held virtually by Zoom on Friday, September 25th from 7:30 to 9 a.m. And another little sad note is the Montague's annual Pumpkin Fest has been canceled for 2020. And I'm sure Commissioner Mahoney is very disappointed in that. I know his family is big in the pumpkin roll.
Yeah, well, another thing is to give the administrators of the local high schools a breather. However, now they have to contend with how to operate a football season.
Right, that can be very difficult and very, very stressful for the coaches, for the students, for the parents, the spectators, everybody. So I wish them all the very best. That finishes my report, and I'd like to move on to the administrator's report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. At the last full board meeting, we discussed the work share program, and it was asked to bring it back in a couple weeks to see if the federal government had moved in any direction or the state. With that being said, there's a really short PowerPoint presentation here that Kristen Barnhill will bring up for us here shortly. So our current balance, as Bass said, in the unassigned fund balance is 9.24 million. That policy that was discussed needs to stay between 14% and 19%, which equates to 7 million and 9.5 million. Furloughs were very successful this summer, and it saved the 2020 fund. And since this has been brought up again through the federal and now the state, we could potentially see another $0.8 million, $800,000 to $1 million saved if we continue our furlough through the end of the calendar year 2020. If we do not participate in the furloughs, we could be missing out anywhere from $1 million to $1.2 million. Between $800,000 and $1 million savings, right? If we do not, we're looking at a 1 to 1.2 million shortfall for a total of 2.2 million from the unassigned balance. And how you get that number is if everybody was to pull out of the work share program, which we currently have 176 people who started in August and going in September. If all those people withdrew, we would be looking at roughly a $2 million unassigned fund balance coming out of our reserves. This would obviously bring the balance down to around 7 million, which is really close to our 14%, our lower end that we set that goal out for with our commissioners. Next page, please. So the Hall of Justice is currently has 600,000 roughly through December 2020. Again, unless they withdrew. The general fund departments could save an additional 200 to 400,000. And why such a range there depends on the number of people who can participate. For example, those who could not participate would be Equalization Department, the Clerk's Office, the Health West, the jail, Juvenile Transition Center, the MATS. But there's other departments that would have the same difficulty participating, if you could scroll that up a little bit, you're looking at accounting, clerk, deeds, equalization, facilities, IT, public defender, public health, public works, solid waste, treasurer, and wastewater. So if all these other ones could participate, at least 1 or 2 people, or even half their staff, we could save anywhere from 200 to 400,000. That's why that range is there. Next slide, please. How this workshare program works, let's take an employee who makes $15 an hour on average, is about $600 weekly. If he has reduced his hours by 12 hours a week, which is 30%, his new income would be $420 weekly. Unemployment would give you $100 for those 12 hours. And then you'd qualify for the federal benefit of $300. So your new income would be $820, which is greater, obviously, than your $600. So there's obviously a benefit for the $15, probably all the way up to $20, $27, $28. Well, we went ahead and figured out what that exactly number would be. And it's roughly $33 an hour. So a person who makes 33 would bring in $13.20. Subtract the 30%, which is the 12 hours. You then receive $924 weekly for the Muskegon County, from Muskegon County. Again, you'd get that 12-hour unemployment of $100, and you would see the federal benefit of $300, which his income is really close to the exact number what he or she would bring in if making $33 an hour. So the idea is to not hurt any employee's income every 2 weeks unless they volunteered for it. And the reason I say volunteered for it is we have several employees, and other directors can attest to this, who are volunteered for this because of the school their kids attend. For an example, some are in school, some are at home. And it is a benefit for some employees, next page please, to be able to be at home with their kids while they're in school as they go through this process of COVID. So the idea here, there's not a next page, I think that is my final page. The idea here is to keep those who participate would be between $15 and $33. Now, 15 really depends on the number of what they claim as when they file unemployment. That might go down to 14 and it might go up to 17, depends on the person. So what we want to do is not necessarily zero on the $15 per hour, but what we want to focus on is if they do not reach that $100 unemployment per week, so if they get 95, 96, they wouldn't have to participate. But anybody who can achieve the $100 per week, which is looking at the 12 hours for 99% of the people, that's our goal. Is if you can receive unemployment of $100, then you would qualify for the $300, or then it would benefit that employee. Those who make greater than 33, we'd ask for obviously volunteers, but would not require them. And those who make less than 15, again, they could volunteer. We've had several employees volunteer for this program already. So that's kind of a short version of this program, how it works. It works very similar as it did this summer. The more we can get departments to participate, the greater the savings and the less we have to take out of unassigned fund balance. So questions for that?
I have.
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Eisenbarth. What has the staff response been to this? Is it supported? Is it? It looks like a pretty big deal to me, but.
Yes, we have, let me just read them off for you. Human resources, we have 5 who are participating currently. CVB, probate court, we both have 3. The airport has 7. District court has 44 employees. The prosecutor has 30 employees participating. Circuit court has 80 employees participation. Parks have 3 participating. So we are having a good response.
Yeah, I would
participation.
Think.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Go ahead, Ken.
I'm a little concerned, but I hope our citizens are going to be patient with us, because when you reduce the service availability by 12 hours for all these folks, we're not going to be able to serve like we normally do. It won't be as quick. There will be some hiccups, I'm sure. But we save some cash and we can muddle through fine.
I have a couple questions too. I'd like to know, in our fund balance that we keep talking about, that how much has Health West taken money out of that fund balance to pay their bills? And if so, is the money that's left in there what we have left from Health West using it, or is that not accounted for?
Beth, explain your finances on that, please.
Yes, so the fund balance that we currently have in the general fund does not reflect any use of by Health West. Health West is recording a deferred revenue on their books. So there's basically, there is no usage of the general fund's fund balance by Health West as of right now.
Okay. I have a couple other questions. Number one, what are we originally talked about the workshare program to be closed on Fridays. Is that not the plan anymore? Are you letting people furlough people during any day of the week? And if you do that, then your IT department is going to have to be there all 5 days because they got to service the people, so they won't be able to participate.
Well, I would let each director decide whether they can participate or not. Mr. Phillips has been reviewing this.
Okay.
As
I haven't talked to him about it. I was just thinking that, I mean, how can they not be there 5 days if the people are there 5 days? Now, will the department heads be able to decide if they participate and which employees participate?
Yeah, each department head who has chosen to participate has done on their own. Obviously, the chief judges have weighed in as well as the other judges from the courts.
So they will make that decision themselves on how it would affect their ability to serve the people. Okay. And what about the hours? Are we, anybody that is going to lose money, we're not going to make them furlough, correct?
Yeah, the goal is to reach that $100 mark on your unemployment. And from 12 hours seems to be works for most.
Okay.
It might, if someone makes less than 15, let's say they're a 12 hour and they need to really be home, they could possibly do 13 hours. But again, we want the director on each department to work through that and encourage, we want their employees, we want to encourage the directors to participate as many as they can, because it is saving the general fund dollars. And it's a time where we both can win. We can win on our general fund savings, and the employee can still bring home the same amount of income.
What happens if they run out of money like they say they're going to, especially if they retro it back? I mean, are they going to be out before our people can even get started?
That's the $1 million question, right? Or maybe a $10 million, $100 million question. We don't know that yet.
If we lay them off and they run out of money for that, will the employees be able to go back to work? It's not going to say you're going to be laid off till January 1st, correct?
We're using we want to stick to the word furloughs.
Okay.
There are some departments who have identified in their budget of layoffs, so I don't want to get that too confused. So right now the furloughs has been worked with each department head to work with their employees. And that being said, I want to commend those department heads and those employees who are actually already taking time off, which they're not guaranteed that $300. They've been furloughed. All they're receiving is either the $72 for the first few weeks and now the $100. But there are departments who the employees know that they might not qualify for the $300 until the state releases that money.
But you didn't answer my question. Are they eligible to come back to work?
Yes,
if they're going to start losing money. Okay, the department head
would work through
gets
that.
to decide that. Okay. All right. Well, thank you for the information. Does anybody else have any questions for the administrator?
Madam Chair, yes, I have a question. So is this a
Yes, go right
motion
ahead.
on the Yes, thank you. Is this a motion for today?
No,
Are we,
it's actually just a presentation for our information.
so until we go down this road, we're losing potential cost savings that could impact our 2021 budget.
Well, actually, some of
And
the
we're
departments have already done that. Some of the departments have already furloughed and already laid off. So,
Right, but that ended, and now we have to redo this.
no, we
in
never
order to
had
continue.
we never had this.
Right,
This is
the
brand
old
new.
one. Right, and the other one ended. That's the problem.
Right, but we still do have people on furlough and people laid off in many departments.
Madam
So
Chair,
Yes.
Go ahead.
at the last meeting, I don't remember if it was a week ago or 2 weeks ago. The more we kick this down the road, the more money we're going in the hole in our general fund.
Correct.
Are there any other questions? Seeing none, is there any old business?
We have
Yes.
three hands raised.
Yes, Mark, you had some old business?
Well, still under my report,
Oh, okay, go right ahead.
what we need to do though is if we're not going to encourage directors to participate, Beth has to include the probably 1.8 million, possibly 2.2 million in her final budget for the 26th.
Okay, and that will come back to us when we vote on the budget, correct?
The 20, I'm looking at the calendar date. Full board looks like the 22nd.
Okay. Perfect.
So when do we vote on the work share program?
Once we decide exactly what we want to do and have a motion, we'll vote on that. It can be at any time.
So it could be now?
It could be now, yes.
Yeah. I will go ahead and make that motion that we engage in the work share program.
I'll support that.
And we have a motion by Kim Mahoney, a second by Commissioner Foster. Any comments, questions, or concerns?
Is that motion to work share program through December 31st?
It actually, I don't think it has an ending date. That would be up to the individual directors, as I understand it.
Yeah, ideally it would be due through December, but again, it depends on the money when that runs out.
Yep. Any other questions? All right, Madam Clerk, may I have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Skolnick,
Yes.
Commissioner Snyder,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes.
Vice Chair Foster,
Yes.
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Laring,
Yes.
Commissioner Mahoney,
Yes.
Chairman Hughes,
Yes,
8 yes, 1 excused.
that motion carries. And I'd like to thank the administrator and Beth for the effort they put into the PowerPoint and work on the program. I'd like to thank the commissioners for this hard decision that we had to make. And I'd like to also thank the employees that are, helping us make and help our budget. Any Administrator Eisenbarth, anything else from you?
No, that ends my report.
All right, thank you very much. We will move on to old business. Is there any old business to come before the full board today? Any new business? Seeing none, is there any public comment?
I have a public comment.
IT Director Ivan Phillips.
Yes, this is IT Director Ivan Phillips and Ways and Means Committee meeting on WM 20/09/76 to not offer the option to employees to defer their share of the Social Security portion of the FICA, which is normally part of the matching amount that paid by the county between September 1st and 2020 and December 31st, 2020. Could someone please explain that to me so I can understand it in layman's terms?
Yes, I had Kristen Wade call you afterwards to explain that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other public comment? Anyone else?
Yeah.
Christopher Cross, go ahead.
Yes, just wanted to go and back to the snow removal and lawn care program. Last year, the county had paid to the senior millage for over $30,000 for startup costs to fund only $15,000 for the time being when snow. I really appreciate Mr. Skolnick, Commissioner Skolnick, for mentioning you can't, well, you can, but it does not work very well to wait for funding after the snow already starts. It happened last year, and we actually had to, because the funding came later in the year last year, we were not able to get the best deals, and we actually spent the money, and we budgeted for that because the money was coming in. So it really, to wait 30 days to fund the program fully, that would look like for the last meeting was all supported with, when the funds are there, when the health department director said that there is enough funds available to do so. To wait 30 days is really damaging to the seniors that are going to be counting on this, as well as to do this efficiently and be prepared when the snow falls. If we do not get the funding in time, unfortunately, if we have an early winter, and it looks like this winter is going to be a hard one, we will not be able to serve the seniors in a timely fashion because of the funding. Thank you.
Thank you. Peggy?
Thank you. I just wanted to make a comment about the two programs that have been discussed from the Ravenna Township. First of all, about the proposed elimination of the Ravenna's meal program. I guess I just find it's unfortunate the committee recommended eliminating funding for a service that has been successfully providing the meals and activities for 130 different individuals for only $6,600 a year. And then also wanted to clarify on the shopping transportation service. We did go to Meijer, and the participants had asked to go to Walmart due to the substantial cost difference for them. The participants that we take, most of them are on a very limited income. And so the program's not favoring Walmart. We're just honoring the wishes of the participants in this program. And what's unfortunate is that, the committee is looking at, what they feel is important for them, but not what, what the participants are asking. And then, the funding that was proposed for that dropped from $7,500, which as a community, we're putting in $13,000 for that program as far as use of a bus and volunteers. And the grant, proposed grant for us is only $1,000, which is only $42 per outing. And we are now shopping for these people that the demographic because of COVID-19, can't get out now. And then when they can, being able to get them there. So it's unfortunate they feel that, the committee feels and the proposal feels that it's only worth $42 per outing for this program.
Thank you, Peggy. I appreciate your information. Supervisor Barnes.
Thanks, Madam Chair. I've got three issues. The first one is you guys had a motion that failed because it was a 4-4 tie. The wording in that motion was to not authorize. So what is the status of that? Does that motion now continue on? I mean, it was really worded, I don't know, a little bit poorly. So I'm not sure exactly what happens when the motion fails and the recommendation was to not do something. Does that mean we are doing it or not? Anyhow.
I can have somebody get back with you on that, Tony.
Well, if you could scroll up the agenda so I could see, I would have a better understanding of what I'm trying to say, but it's already scrolled down to page 2.
That's okay, no problem.
Okay.
This is public comment. It's not question and answer.
Understood. So I have asked this question at 2 different full board meetings and at Court Public Safety twice. Over a year ago, I brought this to the county commission, and I believe Commissioner Foster also asked for some direction with respect to the countywide golf cart or ORV type ordinance, similar to something happening to townships and counties, I should say, counties north of us. We have another pretty good issue that I also brought up to the county commission about a year and a half ago and still haven't got any direction from anyone with respect to dredging the boat launch at the Muskegon County Twin Lake Park. We got to pay to get in there. No different than any other county park. But if you're paying and you can't use the boat launch, I've got a lot of our residents that directly are affected by the fact that the water, even when it was high, we couldn't even get our boats off the trailers out there. So I don't know what it's going to take or what I need to do in order to get the commissioners to at least entertain looking at the countywide ORV ordinance or getting that lake dredged in a park that the county does in fact manage. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else? I do not see any hands raised. Is there anyone else?
Susie,
Yes. Yes,
same
go ahead.
question that he does about the I forget what number it is where it was a tie.
17.
Yeah,
Human
17.
Services 17.
Yeah, so what's the status of that? I know we decided later to give them a quarter of the funding. So does that supersede? Need some clarification there.
I don't know the answer to that. I will have Mike get that answer to us because I don't know.
So let me just jump in.
Thank you.
It was a motion to not do something, which is not particularly how I would want to word it, but nonetheless, the motion failed. That does not then mean, as a matter of course, that you are doing something different until another motion is made and passed. So it does not mean the reverse is true, that that motion fails, but that you're doing the thing that you said you were not going to do, if that makes sense.
Okay. Thank you,
So
Mike. I appreciate that.
So they're going to get a quarter of the funding to get through the end of the year, the calendar year, because of the later motion.
Right. There was another motion that passed on that. So they're covered
Right.
through the end of the year.
Right.
Okay. Anyone else? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to go into closed session pursuant to MCL 15.288E to consult with an attorney regarding strategies regarding the trial or settlement of case number 2022242 MB, Muskegon County and Health West, an agency of Muskegon County versus the state of Michigan.
So moved.
Moved.
We have a motion and support. Any questions? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, may I have a roll call to go into closed session?
Commissioner Snyder,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes.
Vice Chair Foster,
Yes.
Commissioner Hovey Wright. Commissioner Hovey Wright,
Yes.
thank you. Commissioner Laring,
Yes.
Commissioner Mahoney,
Yes.
Commissioner Skolnick,
Yes.
Chairman Hughes,
Yes,
8 yes. One
thank
excuse.
you, and that motion carries. We will take a moment to remove the public
All right, we're live. Madam Chair.
I'll make a motion. We return back to open session.
Report.
Go ahead and do a roll call, please.
Can we get a roll call,
Commissioner-
Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Wilkins. Everyone was on mute, so you'll have to take your. Commissioner Wilkins. I'll return to you. Vice Chair Foster,
Yes.
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Laring,
Yes.
Commissioner Mahoney,
Yes.
Commissioner Skolnick,
Yes.
Commissioner Snyder,
Yes.
and I'll return to Commissioner Wilkins and Chairman Hughes.
Yes.
7 yes, 1 no answer, and 1 excuse.
And that,
Mr. Wilkins is back now. She has her mic on. Go ahead.
okay.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Wilkins
Yes.
to, thank you very much. So that's 8
Mhm.
yes and 1 excuse.
I was muted.
Thank you very much, and that motion carries. Is there anything else to come before this board today? Seeing nothing, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved.
I have a
Support.
motion. Go ahead, Mark, did you have something?
No, that was not me. Nope.
Okay. Will enter, Madam Clerk, could I have a roll call to adjourn the meeting?
Vice Chair Foster,
Yes.
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Laring,
Yes.
Commissioner Mahoney,
Yes.
Commissioner Skolnick,
Yes.
Commissioner Snyder,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes.
Chairman Hughes,
Yes,
8 yes, 1 excuse.
and this meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a good week.
Oh, yeah.
See you Thursday, everybody. Thursday.
Yeah.